In the wind-blown village of Sarabjan, nestled between the dusty hills of Baharistan, lived a humble potter named Nasir Bakta. His fingers, shaped by years of working with clay, spun life into the earth. By dawn, he would mold delicate urns and sturdy pots. By dusk, he would load them onto his old donkey and set off for the city markets. He was poor, painfully so, but his spirit was not. While others grumbled at fate, Nasir greeted it with quiet resilience. Even the whispers of the forest's terror, the lion, did little to shake his composure. The lion was no ordinary beast. It had eyes like molten gold and a roar that curdled the blood of warriors. It haunted the villages, prowling under the moonlight, taking livestock and sometimes more. Traps failed, arrows missed, fear ruled. But Nasir, consumed by his craft and duty, barely noticed. One evening, after a long day of selling pots and dodging the city's taxes, Nasir returned home utterly spent. Instead of stabling his donkey, he tied it beneath a neem tree and collapsed into sleep. That same night, a fierce storm clawed through the valley. Trees cracked, thunder roared, and the wind howled like 1,000 ghosts. Deep in the forest, the lion, startled by nature's fury, sought refuge and stumbled upon a crumbling hut on the edge of the village. There, it curled up in the shadows, drenched and trembling, not from the rain, but from something older perhaps. Hours later, Nasir woke to the rain lashing his window. With a gasp, he remembered his donkey. Rushing outside, he found only the snapped rope swinging in the storm. Worried, he searched. For hours, he trudged through mud and darkness until lightning revealed the silhouette of a beast lying beside the hut. "There you are, you wretched animal," he growled, approaching. Without hesitation, Nasir scolded the figure, even swatting it on the back as punishment. The creature didn't move. "Stubborn as always," Nasir muttered, tying a rope around its neck and leading it home through the downpour. At dawn, the village stirred. A scream pierced the stillness. People pointed in horror at the great lion tied meekly to Nasir's tree. Nasir, still rubbing sleep from his eyes, blinked in disbelief. "That's not my donkey." Before he could grasp what had happened, soldiers arrived. Word had reached King Daragul of a man who tamed a lion with his bare hands. Baharistan stood on the brink of war, and the kingdom, they said, needed such bravery. Nasir was summoned. Confused, terrified, but unwilling to deny his king, he stood before the royal court. "You will lead my army," the king proclaimed. "But I make pots, not war," Nasir whispered. "You tamed a lion," the minister replied. "You'll figure out the rest." So began the strange rise of Nasir Bakta. The potter turned general. His tactics were as odd as his ascent. One night, he sent a stampede of animals into the enemy camp with torches tied to their backs. From afar, it looked like an army of fire was marching. Panic spread like wildfire, and the enemy fled. He whispered to spies that his men trained by wrestling lions. Rumors became legend. Enemies surrendered. Peace was forged. And still, Nasir couldn't believe any of it. Gold and land poured in. His hut was replaced with a palace. People bowed in his presence. But Nasir remained as he was, humble, bewildered, and often talking to the lion, who now lived peacefully in his garden. One evening, his wife said with a twinkle in her eye, "If you hadn't mistaken that lion for your donkey, none of this would have happened." Nasir laughed. "Or maybe it mistook me for someone braver." Then he turned to the lion, who met his gaze with an unsettling calm, as if it understood something no one else did. Later that night, while the stars blinked in silence, Nasir walked alone to the edge of the forest. The lion followed. Some say they were never seen again. Others say the potter grew tired of gold and glory and returned to the clay. But there are whispers of a man and a lion who roam the mountains, silent as shadows, watching, waiting, and no one knows for what.